What's up guys, welcome back to a brand new Hot Rods how to install video. Today we're going to be installing a complete transmission bearing kit into this 2003 CR250 engine. We'll start by showing you guys the kit that you need to do this exact same job, and then we'll jump into what tools you're going to need to complete the job as well. Let's go ahead and jump into it. Alright, so what comes in the Hot Rods transmission bearing kit? Now, I will mention that everything you guys receive will be in individual baggies. I've opened it so you can get a better look at all the parts that come in the kit. You will of course get all of the bearings for your primary and secondary transmission shafts, as well as the bearings for your shift drum bearing, which is awesome. Additionally, they don't need to put this in here, but Hot Rods, in every Hot Rods transmission bearing kit I've used on various 2-strokes and 4-strokes, also includes the washer that holds your sprocket on, and the spacer or collar that goes in behind your sprocket. So that's a really cool feature that comes in, like I said, every Hot Rods transmission bearing kit I've used so far. So in a nutshell, that's what comes in the kit. Also nicely oiled. You won't receive these with any type of corrosion on them whatsoever. Very nice. There are a couple of sealed units in these typically, so just be aware of, only one in this case. Be aware of that. Oh, there's another one, shift drum bearing. That means they are directional, so pay attention. This kit is great because everything you need is in one stinking kit. It is all right there. You don't need to go to an OEM parts microfiche and hunt down this bearing, this bearing, this bearing, this bearing, so on and so forth, and these extra pieces that you probably wouldn't buy for yourself anyways. Most people are going to reuse their old ones. They just come in the kit. Price-wise, it is actually a little bit more affordable than the OEM, especially if you were going to add these into the OEM parts purchase. So great kit, no hunting, no packing, it's all right there, and you get some extras. Let's go ahead and install this. Actually, I will mention that when we get into this job, we're also going to be installing some crank bearings and crank seals, so go ahead and check out our All Balls how-to video on that. Today, we're sticking to the transmission strictly. Okay, we are over here on our nice clean engine building table. This is where all the engine building goes down. We of course have our hot plate set up and our engine case. We're going to go ahead and install this Hot Rods transmission bearing kit now. First thing you want to do, set that engine case up on your hot plate and let it warm up. Next, you're going to want to take your transmission bearings and get these into the freezer. So while our bearings are cooling off and becoming smaller, contracting, our aluminum case will be heating up and expanding, and that should really help us drop these transmission bearings in with ease. Of course, we have our brass punch and our little backup ball peen hammer here if we need to give it some love taps. We're going for a picture perfect install. Hopefully we don't have to use these at all, or the seal driver. It's just another method of sinking bearings in. And a good way to tell if your engine case is hot enough is to take a little bit of water, this thing is piping hot, and drizzle it on there. If you guys get a sizzle, then you know this thing is ready to go. Right now, still cold, no sizzle. Next up, bearing install. All right, our engine case is nice and hot. We're going to go ahead and use our little wooden engine blocks here. We're using this because in the event we need to use some persuasion, we wouldn't want to be smashing the engine case into this stainless steel table. So you want to use something non-marring and softer than the case itself. If your table is made out of wood, that's also fine. So now we'll go ahead and get this case. Let's see, let's grab the bearings first. I've also got our chilled bearings here ready to go. They are shrunk down, so to speak, and the case has been expanded with heat. Now we're going to want to take our piping hot engine case and get it onto our little wooden engine stand here. Give you guys a good view. Let's see what works. I think that should suffice right there. So I'll be grabbing the bearings with our retaining ring pliers. I'm grabbing them on a flat surface so that I know they are square in the pliers. This guy has a seal. Most commonly that's sealed off to the clutch arm bearings over there. Drops right in with ease. Our next bearing actually has a ridge in it there, and that's for a bearing keeper or retainer. Commonly the output shaft bearing. Again, I'm getting it square here, dropping it in. Make sure that ridge is facing upward or you're going to have a problem. And then our little shift drum bearing is our last one here. Don't give me any problems, bud. These ones always seem to want to fight a little bit. Yeah, it's fighting. Let's see. Center it up again. Well, she's gonna need a little persuasion. Tough. All right. I'm walking this in gently, side to side, with my brass punch, because just like the wood, we don't want to hit the bearing with something like steel that would dent or mar it. All right. See? It isn't always perfect. Am I seated? I look to be seated. You can actually hear it. All right. I don't know what it is. That one always likes to cause a fuss. All right, we're in. Now, as mentioned, we're going to be doing a crankshaft bearing install as well. Go ahead and check out our other video so you can find out what exactly you get in this crank bearing and seal kit. You're going to love it. They're Japanese. Now, with everything installed, we're going to go ahead and sit this bad boy on the concrete floor in the shop. It's going to act like a heat sink and drag the heat out of this hot part. Also, I will not be laying it on the concrete with this side facing down, because while this case is hot, these bearings might just come flying right back out. So something to be aware of. Now, the last step in this process for your transmission bearings, sometimes your crank bearings, you'd want to go ahead and install your bearing keepers and screws like we talked about a second ago. Other than that, that's a wrap on the transmission bearing install.